Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jennifer Vickery-Smith, and in this week's Champions of Rural America, we take a deep dive into the controversial land use rule issued by the previous administration. It put conservation on an equal footing as recreation and grazing. Congresswoman Celeste Maloy of Utah is a member of the Western Caucus. She explains why she introduced a bill to repeal that rule.
If the conservation rule were to be implemented, it could have devastating impacts on especially the rural economies in my district. But it would have impacts even on the urban economies in my district. Utah is a recreation state and an ag state. So we have grazing on our public lands, and if that got pushed off by conservation, we'd have families in the rural areas who've been there for generations suddenly not have that economic driver anymore that anchors the families to these rural areas. It would also impact the recreation economy in Utah. We are known for our world-class hiking, camping, outdoor experiences. In a conservation rule world, a lot of those opportunities might disappear. If people don't have access to public lands, they don't have the ability to go out and recreate. So a lot of the groups that fight for conservation of public lands are fighting for conservation of public lands because they want to be out there, hiking, fishing, hunting, but even using ATVs and riding bikes and things that might get pushed out by a conservation rule. So I have had constituents and local elected officials very, very concerned calling me saying this rule can't get implemented because it will kill our economy.
Maloy explains how her bills will protect federal lands for families and farmers for generations to come.
If you look at the bills I've introduced and the things I've spent my time working on in Congress, it's really clear that I am making sure that my constituents have access to the resources in Utah. I think that's important for Americans. We should be able to be out recreating on our public lands. We should also have access to the resources on our public lands that are necessary for national security, for a healthy economy, both the national economy and for local economies. So I take a lot of pride in the work I've done before I was in Congress and here in Congress to make sure that Utahns have a say in what happens in Utah. And the same thing applies to other states, and that we are managing our lands for sustained yield. We want those lands to be available for recreation and for economy into the future. We want people 100 years from now to be grateful that we made the decisions we made because they're still out recreating and enjoying our public lands, and they're still healthy and in good shape, the people and the lands.
Maloy says the West Act is a good reminder that federal agencies can't restrict access to land. That authority belongs to Congress, and the people should have a say.